Well, let me ask you a politics question. I mentioned in the intro tonight that you say in the book really bluntly that your personal first choice for your running mate would have been Pete Buttigieg, and you praise him effusively. You say he would have been an ideal partner if I were a straight man. And you say effectively that demographically it was too much to ask of the American people to ask them to elect you with him as your running mate. I wonder if his reaction to that, since this part of the book has come out, if you've had any reflection on that, or I guess I'd ask you to just elaborate on that a little bit. It's hard to hear. Yeah. With you running as, you're the first woman elected vice president. You're a black woman and a South Asian woman elected to that high office, very nearly elected president. To say that he couldn't be on the ticket effectively because he was gay is hard to hear.
No. That's not what I said. That he couldn't be on the ticket because he is gay. My point, as I write in the book, is that I was clear that in 107 days, in one of the most hotly contested elections for president of the United States, against someone like Donald Trump who knows no floor, to be a black woman running for president of the United States and as a vice presidential running mate, a gay man, with the stakes being so high, it made me very sad, but I also realized it would be a real risk. No matter how, I've been an advocate and an ally of the LGBT community my entire life. So it wasn't about any prejudice on my part, but
that
we had such a short period of time, and the stakes were so high. I think Pete is a phenomenal public servant. And I think America is and would be ready for that. But when I had to make that decision with 2 weeks to go, and maybe I was being too cautious, I'll let our friends, we should all talk about that. Maybe I was. But that's the decision I made. And I, as with everything else in the book, I'm being very candid about that.
Yeah.
With a great deal of sadness about also the fact that it might have been a risk.
Will you consider running in 2028?
That's not my focus right now.
I know
it's not my focus at all.
I know
it really isn't.
All right, so to a lot of people, it felt sudden, confused, and almost chaotic when you really look at it, because it seems like the decision was less about what was best for the country and more about what was best for the party. And that's a problem, because when you're talking about the presidency, the highest office in the land, it shouldn't be decided behind closed doors based on optics, image, or party loyalty. It should be decided based on who fits to lead. Now, here's where it gets even more concerning, because instead of taking the time to prepare the American people, instead of laying out a clear, thoughtful transition, the handoff to Kamala Harris felt rushed. It didn't feel like a strategy. It felt like a fallback plan. And for many of us, it raised a real question. Was this about leadership or was this about control? Because Kamala Harris stepping in as the nominee might seem historic on the surface. First woman of color, first South Asian and black woman to be this close to the presidency. But history alone doesn't qualify someone to lead. And this isn't personal. This is about performance. It's about results. Americans had 4 years to watch how she operates as vice president. Most people don't see the strength. They see a politician who spent more time managing her image than managing the country's challenges. And look, when she wrote in her book that she didn't pick Pete Buttigieg as her running mate because she thought America wasn't ready for a gay man on the ticket, that's not leadership. That's fear-based politics. That's saying I care about progress unless it risks my chance of winning. And you can't claim to be bold and inclusive while also playing it safe when it counts the most. And that moment exposed the difference between real courage and branding, and let alone just whatever Pete Buttigieg decides to be and whatever he condone himself to be or whatever the case may be. Why isn't it just based on merit if he qualifies in regards to the position? Why even spew this rhetoric of his own personal business, right? So meanwhile, Joe Biden's health and mental sharpness were declining publicly. And then unfortunately, the cancer announcement came out, and it's a horrifying thing. And I wish that on nobody and everyone saw it. That's not a dig, that's just reality, because he spent more time in Delaware than in Washington, and yet the White House kept pretending nothing was wrong. That was the problem. And the media tiptoed around it. The party stayed silent. Why? Because admitting the truth would have thrown the whole political machine off its track. So instead, we were sold a version of reality that didn't match what we all could see with our own eyes. And here's where common sense tells us good leadership isn't about how someone looks or what boxes they check. It's about honesty. It's about showing up, speaking clearly, and making decisions that put the people first, not politics. And right now, a lot of Americans across all backgrounds are starting to feel like they were being talked down to and not spoken with, like their concerns are being brushed off in favor of slogan and sound bites. And we don't need more politicians who are great at talking and word solid. We need more people who are great at leading, and that starts with being real, even when it's uncomfortable, because true leadership and a measure of true leadership is doing the very thing that's in the best interest, even though people may not see it right away. But as a leader, that's a tough decision you have to make. I give you an example from a C student perspective and a real life example. Let's say you're in a relationship, right? And you a man and you leading your family, you the provider and protector. As we all know that when it comes to men, we are resonated with and known as being provider and protectors. And real men, as we know, put ourselves last, and we put everybody before us at the sacrifice of our own health, our own well-being, to make sure everybody is taken care of. And then later on in life, as we live a full life, to take care of ourselves and then being able to pour back in ourselves once everybody in the family, our children, our spouse, whatever the case may be, is taken care of, right? That's a real man, putting everybody else before himself, sacrificing, providing, protecting. So if his woman and he's leading a family may see something operating out of emotions, because we know women are more prone to be more emotion based. Let's say she does a thing such as impulsive spending, and he's like, as the man and the leader of the family, listen, baby girl, we're not going to spend right now. We're going to put our money and allocate it into passive income like real estate, and then we'll let the real estate eventually let our assets pay for things that you want, instead of paying out of pocket, because it's a liability, because we're paying out of pocket and we're just giving up our money, but we're not getting no return on investment of you just doing this impulsive spending because you want a purse or you want a pair of shoes. Let's place the money, let it build over time. Let's have capital, such as money sitting around that we have access to, where we can save in case of emergency. If we were, let's say, for example, investing into real estate as a family, and then we collect renters money, we have, our properties being well taken care of, money set aside for emergencies, to take care of amenities or whatever the case may be. And then we can splurge a little bit, because now we got everything in place. We got our eggs in place, and we got passive income, because you can't work your way to wealth. You're going to die. The only way you get to true wealth is by making money in your sleep. Right? So I say all that to say that the man told his woman, which in this case, in my example, his spouse, we're not going to be ignorant, which means lack of knowledge and how we spend our money, by being impulsive in the short term, but long term wise, we'll make more money on the back end, where the investment will pay for itself, where then we can splurge and do the things that we want to do after we sit on doing what we need to do, making a short term sacrifice to not buy materialistic things we may want in the moment, but putting it in the right place so that pays for the things that we want later on. And she may not see that vision long term, but as a man, he does, putting his family in a more stable place as a provider, because they'll be financially stable, right? So true leadership may be, and I'm using my example, the man telling his woman, this is what we're going to do with our funds and our monies for the best interest of the family. You may not see the vision now, but this is what we're going to do as a man, as a true leader and a provider and protector. This is what we're going to do, and you'll see the vision later on. Sometimes you got to drag people to the finish line, not literally, but they won't see the result. They won't see the vision right then and there right away, but they'll see the vision as it comes to fruition. And then I'll be like, oh, I love you, honey. Thank you so much. Now I get what you were saying. Now in the family, you know, has more income coming in because we sacrifice and I listen under your leadership. And as a helpmate, I just came along as your woman and we built this thing together because I allocated monies, let alone you as well, contributing to build this real estate opportunity to bring more money into the family. You get what I'm saying, family? So true leadership may be unpopular because you may have to operate in the best interest of people who may not even see their best interest at hand, but that's tough love, right? But let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I just wanted to say that on that note. I just feel like now Kamala Harris, she may feel some type of way because she didn't win the election. And I feel like now she's throwing everybody under the bus. And this is the sentiment of what a lot of conservatives say, right? Do not condone in this woke ideology of diversity, equity, and inclusion, because when it doesn't benefit the Democratic Party, they're going to throw each other under the bus. And you're prone to be thrown under the bus like a lot of conservatives are thrown under the bus for the mistakes of diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? So, for example, when Trump cut jobs based on diversity, and say, look, jobs need to be based on merit. You qualify for the job, which originally I have known it for it to be. That's why you have a resume and stuff like that, not just based on identity, politics, and skin color, but actually those who qualify to be effective to help people on whatever that job is and add true value. But when you add diversity, equity, and inclusion, you're just saying basically I'm hiring this person because I got to meet a certain quota based on your skin, but you're not really seeing the value or what they identify as black or whatever the case may be, a certain quota, but you're not really seeing the value for who they are. You're just looking at their skin. Doesn't matter their skin color, black, blue, green, white. Do you qualify? Do you have the skill? Right? That's what truly matters. And that's what I'm saying. That's what true leadership is. Do you have can you lead? So when Trump got rid of those jobs and the Democrats and the far left were going into this woke ideology and diversity, equity, and inclusion, they were saying, oh, Trump is racist and all this stuff because they were promoting this diversity and adding certain and making it where certain quotas of creating black jobs, and then you follow up and now you see that the companies do away because they're private companies. They can choose what they if they want to hire based on who they want to hire, but more so Trump said let's make it fair. The Democrats was forcing companies to hire based on diversity. Trump said let's just make it fair and actually hire who qualifies. So what I'm saying, the woke ideology and diversity, equity, and inclusion became a slap in the Democrats' face because they realized that it wasn't best for Americans because those jobs that were so-called supposed to be beneficial were actually not, because they weren't cemented jobs based on skill to have the stability for the job to stick around. And now a lot of people, a lot of black women were getting laid off recently. That was being the news broken out. Like just recently. So when they faced their own woke ideology and realized that, look, in her case, look what she said. She's throwing under the bus that Pete Buttigieg, the world wasn't ready for a gay man. Why are you throwing his personal business out there? If he qualifies, he qualifies. So now it's a slap in the face because it's contradiction. I thought the Democrat Party, based on diversity, equity, and inclusion, diversifying things no matter what. No matter if he is gay. It's the diversity in it, right? Am I off, family? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. We just having a conversation, right? I just find it contradicting. But on that note, family, catch you next one. Peace.